Welcome back. I24 News Daily Dose, the place to be on this Tuesday, February 7, 2017. Now, it has often been said that because historically wars have largely been started by men, it will require women to end them. I personally am a firm believer on that if we were only given the chance. Enter Women Wage Peace, okay? A relatively new group based here in Israel and in the Palestinian territories, working to push the powers that be to get back to the negotiating table. Now, in their short history, they have already led a major march across the country with thousands joining in and just initiated a lobby push. Their call is to the left and to the right, the religious and the secular, Arabs and Jews. I'm very happy to introduce with me in studio today to unpack actually this new movement, Anat Negev, Strategic Outreach Director for Women Wage Peace. I want to thank you so much for being here this morning. About 20 minutes ago, I had a chance to sit with the European Union ambassador to Israel, and I asked him, do you still believe peace stands a chance in this region, given everything that's happened, not just in the course of the last 20 years, but where we stand this year with new administrations around the world? Why do you believe there still can be peace?
Oh, first I would say that we don't have much of a chance. I mean, this is it. I mean, it's either living and working towards peace or agreeing to live in war. So there's only one way. And
one way forward.
Yeah.
Women, why do you think that women are the ones... I agree, but I want you to convince everybody else. Why do you think women stand the chance, if they were given the chance to lead, why do you think women should be at the forefront of that battle?
Okay, first I would say that we are getting the chance to lead, and we are pushing and promoting our cause to do so with the men, but definitely. I think we've tried everything. I mean, we've tried administrations that were aimed only, men thinking. And I think the ways that we started at Women Wage Peace was in a way that it evolved from the womenly side, because it was the war in 2014, almost 3 years ago. And
which always makes me terrified that maybe this summer will be the next one. Yes.
We hope not.
We hope not.
We're
yes.
definitely working
right?
to make it not happen. And so a lot of people, women and men, sitting at home, watching the news, looking at the war, and feeling really helpless and desperate. And from this kind of desperation, the movement rose. So maybe it's women because women are the ones who give birth. And maybe also, I think, because we've been taught in some ways that, women give birth and then, okay, give your children to the army and then just abandon their fate. And I think that we, the women that founded Women Wage Peace, felt that it was irresponsible not to take action, just to sit back and
You know what
do
this
nothing.
reminds me of? I'm stopping. It reminds me because of Four Mothers. It reminds me of the Four Mother organization that basically people would say brought about the end of the Lebanon war, the Israeli occupation of southern Lebanon. You remember the Four Mothers?
Of course.
Because at the end of the day, it is the mothers that send their children on both sides to fight these battles, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. First of all, we had the blessings of the Four Mothers, and when we started the March of Hope in September in Rosh Hanikra, they are the ones who gave us the torch. So for them, we are the next hope. They've started something, they succeeded, and we are going, they're definitely an inspiration for us, a big one too.
And a big one, too. I also wonder out loud, because, and I'm going to put him on the spot right now, next to you, and, it's actually for a different segment. Next to you sits Sam Chester, clearly a man.
I'm glad we have that straight.
Yeah, I think I've noticed that. I'm putting you on the spot. I think, can you juggle, two things at a time?
I like to think I can, but I've heard that women are much better than that at men, so... Perhaps that suggests...
Perhaps that suggests the juggling, that we can do several things at the same time, no? What would you say?
Of course we can.
Yeah. Now, how's it going, just really quickly when it comes to this new initiative, women, marching for peace, whatnot? We were there, we covered that. How are you all getting along? Let me ask you this. Palestinians, secular, Jews, how's it going?
Oh, that's amazing. I think this is one of the things that makes me very proud to be part of this movement, because we are so diverse. We have so many different voices. We have women from the right and from the left, Palestinians and Jews. And we sort of listened to each other.
We should to listen to each other. No, very well put. I'm going to lock you in studio because that was fabulous, and plus you can't leave because we're going to move along. But thank you so much for that, and the initiative is amazing as we now move along. Staying in Israel and making sense of the only man in the studio. So we're going to move to the business CEO of Teva Pharmaceuticals, a flagship business for Israel, really one of the best, the well-known one on the global stage. Erez Vigodman, I hope I'm pronouncing that name right, has unexpectedly resigned. In his place, chair of the board, Itzhak Peterberg, will serve as interim CEO. There was no surprise from within the walls of the pharma giant. The company has officially said the move comes after a mutual process and decision. So, to make sense of it all, the only man in the world who can actually juggle two things at a time, economic affairs correspondent Sam Chester. What does this mean for Teva?
Well, for Teva, you said the surprise was to audiences, but anyone who's been looking at Teva closely sees a company that's been stumbling over the last few months and over the last year. Many observers have said 2017 was going to be the decisive year for Teva. Is it going to somehow manage to turn the corner, take its very strong R&D and find new drugs to succeed? But it didn't seem that way. So actually, the CEO stepping down, while surprising in its suddenness...
Because Teva's huge, isn't it? I mean, Teva is one of the biggest, I would say, exports of Israel, right?
The biggest Israeli company. It's fundamental to pretty much any Israeli because much of their pension plan is based on Teva.
Right. No. And the CEO stepping down had what to say, basically? Why did he step down? What was the statement?
He kept his words very brief. The statement that he shared with Israelis last night, so most Israelis woke up to it this morning, didn't really share many details.
Let's see. No, I'm going to read this out loud with you. Now is the right time for me to step down. It has been a privilege to lead Teva. I'm proud of all we have accomplished. I'm confident that the company's future is bright. I mean, this sounds like an Oscar speech. Why is he stepping down, though? Really? Because of the stumbling?
He's stepping down because he stepped in 2.5 years ago as the White Knight, and he promised, I'm going to lead Teva to success by acquisitions. Teva right now, its value is below its debt. It has more debt to the tune of 30+ billion than the company is being valued at. The acquisitions that he's led have not been particularly successful. Teva's major drug, the drug that's responsible for a fifth of Teva's revenues, was just struck down in the US for Teva to have the sole license to distribute that. That means much of the resources...
What drug was that?
It's called Copaxone. It's been the major drug for Teva. Without that as in its piggy bank, so to speak, to drive Teva revenues forward, the company's going to face a big challenge. And again, the acquisitions, which Erez Vigodman has put really on his lapel and said, this is my success, this is what you should grade me on, those acquisitions have not been a success. So,
what were the acquisitions that he made?
There was a big acquisition just 6 months ago in 2016 of a company in generic drugs, just like Teva, that the two people who led that purchase, which was over $40 billion valued at, Erez Vigodman, the CEO, who quit last night, and the head of generic drugs for Teva, who also quit 2 weeks ago. So again, you could have seen this coming, particularly in retrospect, that the key figures in Teva are stepping aside because its acquisition strategy is not successful.
Is not successful. Sam Chester, I cannot believe I actually understood things when it comes to economy. Thank you so much. That makes you quite a talented guy. Yes, that was a very female thing to say, and the other woman in the studio will agree with me. No flipping, don't go away. Teva CEO may have resigned, but we will be back in about a minute with Hotspot. Hotspot. Take a look at that. I'm not going to even hint at what this is. So no flipping. We'll be right back.